Welcome to our channel. We're so glad you're here. If you're ready for a story that will leave you inspired and amazed, you're in the right place. Today, we have a special tale about kindness, unexpected turns, and a life-changing moment. But before we dive in, we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below and let us know. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a story. We'll be back tomorrow with something even more exciting. Stay tuned, and let's get started. Fired for kindness, but then an official car pulled up. Find out why. Megan Thompson had always been a kind-hearted and hardworking young woman. At 28 years old, she worked as a cashier at a local grocery store in Dallas, Texas. Her job wasn't glamorous, but she loved it because it gave her the chance to interact with the regular customers, many of whom had become like family. Megan's warm smile and kind words were a constant, and she always went the extra mile to make people feel valued. Whether it was helping someone find an item or offering a comforting word during a tough day. But one afternoon, everything changed. It was a busy day at the store when an elderly man shuffled up to her register. His worn-out jacket, trembling hands, and the few items he held, cans of soup, a loaf of bread, and a carton of milk, told the story of someone struggling. When Megan rang up the total, the man hesitated. His face flushed with embarrassment as he patted his pockets, trying to find enough change. "I'm so sorry," he murmured. "I thought I had enough." Megan could see the worry in his eyes, and without a second thought, she reached into her own pocket and swiped her card. "Don't worry about it," she said softly. "Consider it a gift." The man's eyes welled with tears as he thanked her. "You're too kind, miss," he said. "God bless you." Megan smiled, her heart warmed by his gratitude. It was just a small act, but it felt like the right thing to do. She didn't expect anything in return, just the satisfaction of knowing she had made a difference in someone's life. But little did she know, this one moment of kindness would set off a chain of events that would change her life forever. As the elderly man walked away, Megan had no idea that her simple act would cost her the job she loved. Moments later, her manager, John Harper, stormed over, his face red with anger. He had witnessed the transaction and was furious. Megan barely had time to react before he barked, "Megan, my office, now." What followed was a scolding, a reprimand for violating store policy, and within moments, she was fired. Megan's heart sank as she gathered her belongings and left the store, feeling the weight of the unfairness hanging over her. Megan stood there, stunned, as her manager, John Harper, yelled at her for what seemed like an eternity. She had barely processed the elderly man's gratitude when John stormed up to her register. His face was flushed, his jaw clenched in anger. "Megan, my office, now!" he snapped. She felt her heart drop into her stomach as she followed him, trying to make sense of what was happening. The whole store seemed to quiet down, as if everyone was waiting for the storm that was about to hit. When they reached the back office, John wasted no time. "What were you thinking?" he demanded, his voice sharp. "You can't just give away company property like that. You violated the policy. We don't do handouts." Megan's mind raced, her pulse quickening. She was still trying to make sense of it. Wasn't helping someone in need the right thing to do? "Megan, you're fired," John continued, his words cold and final. "I can't have someone who breaks the rules working here. This is a business, not a charity." Megan's breath hitched. She felt like the floor had been pulled out from under her. Fired. For doing the right thing. For helping someone who had nothing. She had spent years at this store, developing friendships with regular customers and giving everything to her job. And now, it was all gone in an instant. She tried to speak, to explain that she had only acted out of kindness, but John wasn't listening. His mind was made up, and the decision was final. "Pack up your things and leave," he ordered. Megan's hands shook as she gathered her belongings. She felt a rush of frustration, disbelief, and helplessness. She had been fired for showing empathy, for giving someone a little hope when they needed it most. The unfairness of it stung deeply, but she knew there was nothing she could do to change John's mind. As she walked out of the office, her heart heavy with disappointment, she couldn't help but wonder what her next step would be. Where would she go now? What would she do? Little did she know, that very moment would lead her to a life-changing opportunity. Megan walked out of the office, her mind still reeling from the shock of losing her job. The weight of the last few minutes hung over her like a cloud. She had done the right thing, hadn't she? She had helped someone in need, yet here she was, fired for it. Her hands trembled as she gathered her things from the locker room, the buzzing of fluorescent lights overhead adding to the disorienting sense of disbelief. She stepped outside into the warm Texas air, hoping the fresh air might clear her head, but the weight of everything still pressed heavily on her chest. What was she supposed to do now? She had no plan, no backup. Her job at the grocery store had been her life for the last 5 years, and now it was gone, just like that. Megan slumped into her car, staring blankly at the steering wheel, her thoughts a tangled mess. The man she had helped earlier kept running through her mind, his tired eyes, his gratitude. She had acted out of kindness, yet it had cost her everything. She had hoped that her good deed would make a difference, but now it felt like it had only led her to a dead end. What would happen next? As she sat there, the sound of an engine pulling into the parking lot broke her from her thoughts. She glanced up, puzzled. A sleek black car with government plates rolled into the lot, its engine purring as it came to a stop. Megan watched in silence as two uniformed men stepped out of the car, their movements purposeful. And then, to her surprise, the elderly man she had helped earlier emerged from the back seat, walking slowly toward the store entrance. Megan's confusion deepened. What was going on? Why was he back? And why was he with two officers? Her curiosity got the best of her, and she stepped out of the car, walking toward the scene. As she approached the store, the glass doors opened, and she saw John Harper standing inside, his smug expression suddenly turning pale. Something was happening, something beyond her understanding. One of the officers, a tall man with a commanding presence, stepped up to John and spoke to him in a low, firm voice. Megan's heart raced as she watched the exchange, her mind racing with questions. Then, the officer turned and motioned for Megan to come forward. Still confused, she hesitated, but slowly approached. The elderly man smiled warmly at her, and to her astonishment, introduced himself. "I'm Colonel David Walker, U.S. Army, retired." Megan's eyes widened in shock. This man, the one she had helped, was not just an elderly stranger. He was a veteran, and someone with significant influence. Megan's mind was spinning as Colonel David Walker extended his hand to her. She shook it, still trying to process the whirlwind of events that had unfolded in the past hour. The elderly man she had helped, who now stood before her with two uniformed officers at his side, wasn't just any stranger. He was someone far more important than she could have ever imagined. As he introduced himself as a retired U.S. Army colonel, her confusion deepened, and the weight of his words began to sink in. "Miss Thompson," he said with a warm smile, his voice steady and confident. "You did something today that most people wouldn't. You helped a stranger without expecting anything in return. And that's the kind of integrity we need more of in this world." Megan's breath caught in her throat. She had simply seen a man in need and had acted without thinking. To hear it praised in such a way left her speechless. But then, Colonel Walker's next words took her by surprise. "I made a few calls," he continued, his voice low but serious. "There's a position available at the Texas Veterans Assistance Program. We help former servicemen and women get back on their feet, and I think you'd be a perfect fit. The pay is better, full benefits, and you'll be working in a place that truly values kindness, like the kind you showed today." Megan's hands trembled as he handed her an envelope. She hesitated, her mind racing. A job offer? From a government program? It was hard to believe, given that just moments ago she had walked out of that grocery store with nothing but a broken heart and uncertainty about her future. Now, here she was, holding a letter that could change everything. She opened the envelope, her eyes scanning the official job offer. The offer was real, an opportunity to help veterans, to work in a place where her compassion wouldn't be punished, but instead, rewarded. Her heart raced as she looked up at Colonel Walker, still in disbelief. I don't know what to say," she stammered, overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. "Say yes?" Colonel Walker chuckled, his eyes twinkling with sincerity. "People like you make the world a better place." Megan's heart swelled with emotion as she nodded, the tears welling in her eyes. As she turned to leave, she could see John Harper watching her from the store's glass doors. His mouth hung open in shock as he watched her walk past, the same man who had just fired her for helping someone. Megan walked with her head held high, knowing that while she had lost a job today, she had gained so much more, an opportunity to make a real difference, and a future where kindness would never again be punished. Megan stepped into the black car, her heart still racing from the whirlwind of events. As she sat there, holding the job offer from Colonel David Walker in her hands, it felt surreal. Less than an hour ago, she had been fired from her job, bewildered and lost. Now she was headed toward a new chapter in her life, one that promised not just a paycheck, but a purpose, an opportunity to help others, just as she had helped that elderly man. As the car moved through the streets of Dallas, Megan glanced out the window, trying to make sense of everything. The shock of being fired for doing something good still stung, but it was quickly being replaced by a deep sense of gratitude and excitement. Colonel Walker had given her more than a job. He had given her a chance to work in a place that valued her integrity and compassion, something she hadn't felt in a long time. The Texas Veterans Assistance Program would be a place where she could make a real impact, where her kindness wouldn't just be appreciated, it would be essential. As the car turned onto a new street, Megan couldn't help but think back to John Harper, the manager who had fired her. His face, still frozen in shock as she walked out of the store, flashed before her eyes. He had scolded her for following her heart, for doing the right thing. But now, as she drove toward her new future, she felt a quiet satisfaction. She had stood up for what was right, and in doing so, she had found a path that was far more rewarding than anything that store could offer her. When the car finally came to a stop in front of a modern building, Megan's breath caught in her throat. The Texas Veterans Assistance Program building stood tall and proud in front of her, a symbol of the new beginning awaiting her. She stepped out of the car, feeling a wave of determination wash over her. As she entered the building, she knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Megan had lost a job, but in its place, she had found something far more valuable. A career that would not only provide for her, but also allow her to make a real difference in the lives of others. As she walked through the doors, she could feel the weight of the past slipping away, replaced by the excitement of what lay ahead. She had done the right thing, and now she was on a path that would lead her to a future filled with purpose and fulfillment. We hope you enjoyed today's story and that it left you feeling inspired. Megan's journey is a powerful reminder that kindness, even in the smallest acts, can lead to life-changing moments. It's easy to feel discouraged when things don't go as planned, but as Megan's story shows, sometimes the most unexpected turns bring us to the opportunities that truly matter. We want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment where doing the right thing, even when it seemed like it might backfire, led to something incredible? Or perhaps you faced a tough situation where you had to stand up for what you believed was right. Share your story in the comments below. Your experiences could inspire others who might be going through something similar. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. We have more incredible, real-life moments coming your way that prove how a single act of kindness can change everything. Remember, no good deed is ever too small, and your actions might be the spark someone else needs to keep going. We're excited to hear your thoughts and to continue sharing these stories with you. Let's keep the conversation going. Comment below and join our growing community of people who believe in the power of kindness.